We've got a great speaker for you this afternoon. David Scott Peters is a restaurant expert, speaker, coach, and trainer for independent restaurant owners. He spent the past decade helping independent restaurant owners remain competitive and profitable on the industry boxed in by the big chain restaurants. He's best known as a smart systems guy who can walk into any restaurant and find $10,000 in undiscovered cash before he hits the back door. Guaranteed. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm Bowl Expo welcome to Mr. David Scott Peters.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so is this or Disney, huh? All right, good for you. Good for you making the right choice. My name is David Scott Peters. My company's called TheRestaurantExpert.com. We help independent restaurant owners not only survive but thrive in the sea of chain restaurants out there. We don't change who you are. It all comes down to your core values, who you are. Often I'll have managers say to me, David, I don't want to become cold and corporate. What does that mean? Right? Are we going to become an Applebee's, a Chili's of the world? And the answer is no. We're not. We don't change who the owner is. We don't change your core values, but we are going to change one thing. And that's our attitude, philosophy, and how we run, and that we're going to make money. Why should the chains make money and you not? Make the money you deserve. They have a system, a process, a way to doing just about anything. And that's all it is. How is it that these chain restaurants have no owners in them? You ever try and figure that out? How is it that you can't leave your restaurant in your bowling centers, in your entertainment centers? Because if you do, they don't do it right. How is it these chains can do that? Because they impose their will without being there. They have a system, a process, a way to doing anything and everything. It allows you to impose your will as if you were standing over their shoulder, doing it your way, not their way. Your way. There's only one way to do it. Does that make sense? So what we're going to talk about today is 7 simple steps to controlling your food costs. I'm going to give you things you can go home right away and make a difference in your business today. Okay? We're also going to spend a little bit of time, I'll show you what we're going to cover, but we're going to talk a little bit about menu engineering and how we can make a huge bottom line change in your business by simply using recipe costing cards to your advantage. Using that expensive cash register called a point of sale system, and how we can utilize that information to make huge change in your business. But these are things you can make a difference in no matter how big or small your restaurant is in your center. Why do you want to listen to me? I have no idea. You had nothing better to do. They all went to Disney, they got on buses, and you didn't pay, so you're stuck with me. I grew up in my family's restaurant and catering business back in Linwood, New Jersey, where I worked for the toughest manager I know. Anybody here ever worked for your mom? Yeah, it sucked. I hated every minute of it, and I really did. Why? Because she rode me twice as hard as anybody else, my sister twice as hard as anybody else. And while I hated it, she actually did me a favor, because she set me up with a work ethic that nobody else had around me. So I was able to rise in my career everywhere I worked. I later took those skill sets to a company called Coyote Springs Brewing Company and Cafe, early 90s. Do you remember when brew pubs were opening one a week all over the country? We were on that wave. It was magic. The first location was much like a cash cow. The second location was much like owning a boat. Anybody own a boat? A hole in water in which you throw money. And as one was doing great, the other one was sucking all the profitability, and then some. And that's where I had to develop what I call my restaurant operational smart systems. Restaurant systems that are simple, measurable, applicable, repeatable, trainable. The key is simple and trainable. If a system's not simple, they're not going to use it. If you can't train them, they're not going to use it. Does that make sense? It is not rocket science. What I teach you is not something you go, oh my goodness, that is just earth-shattering. Because the realization is there's nothing new in this business. It's how you utilize the information. And honestly, if you want to make change in your business, some of us in this room, I deem you as me, an ADD entrepreneur. You like change, you like new, the next thing you're developing, the next new thing. The last thing you're built for is doing the same thing, the same way every single day. That's what we need management for. That's what we need employees to do, because that's how we win the business of restaurant, isn't it? They're doing it the same way every single day, whether I'm there or not. And that's the key, simple and trainable. Now, I later took those skill sets and I worked for a company called Famous Sam's, a 30-unit restaurant sports bar chain in Arizona. I was a director of operations. We opened up 8 stores, had an operating team. It was gangbusters. And these guys damn near killed the company in under a year. And as upper management was leaving, I went and taught at Scottsdale Culinary Institute, Management and Human Resources, Wines and Spirits. So if anybody is a chef in the room, I'm not your guy. Meaning I can't cook. I can work expo, I can work salads, sandwiches, fry station. You do not want me to show you my knife skills that don't exist. You don't want me to saute, you don't want me to grill. But I can run any one of your kitchens. Because with a system in place, I know what par levels are to prep. I know what my par levels are to order. I know what I need as a number of cooks to cover every shift. I know what the side work duties are that I'm able to what? Make sure everything gets done. I can run any one of your kitchens, but I can't cook. Now, while I was there at Scottsdale Culinary Institute, I was consulting. And my clients primarily were Famous Sam's franchisees. The minority shareholders who took over the company said, David, come back. I kept saying no until about a month before my first child was born. I went, okay, I'm in. I walked into a disaster. Company should have been bankrupt. I was given a 5-year goal. I was supposed to turn the company around and sell it in 5 years. I missed that goal by only 3 months. I know what it is to be an independent operator, and I know what makes the chains successful. It's my job to give you the same systems and tools to allow you to not only survive, but thrive in the sea of chain restaurants. What are we going to cover today? In the next hour and a half, we're going to talk about the standard calculation of cost of goods sold. Every one of you should be doing inventory, not to order, but for value. And I make the assumption that most of you do not. Okay? So wherever you are on that spectrum, it doesn't matter. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to make sure you have the tools to make change. But those of you who do take inventory and do your cost of goods sold calculation, I'm going to give you 4 calculations I'll guarantee will put more money in your bank account. Now listen to what I said. Did I say I'd make you more money? No, what did I say? I'm going to put more money in your bank account. What pays your bills?
The bank account.
The bank account. Cash, not profits. Profits are for paying taxes. So we're going to control your number one asset. I'm going to give you those kinds of tools. We're going to talk about how to analyze your numbers, why using recipe costing cards are imperative. Do you know what the 2 most important things any independent restaurant should have? Budgets and recipe costing cards. What are the 2 things most independent restaurants never have? Budgets and recipe costing cards. Oh, David, they're so hard. Boo-hoo. You have to have a budget, and we're going to talk about why it allows you to become a proactive management team versus reactive. We're going to talk about how to bust the menu costing myth, and I'm going to give you 7 ways that you can go home today and change your bottom line today. Now, do know, I'm going to, later on at the end of the session, I'm going to give away a seat to a 3-day workshop I have twice a year in Phoenix, Arizona. So I'm going to do a business card drawing, but I'm also going to email you the PowerPoint. I know that they're recording it. You're going to have that, but if you want a printed version, the ability to do so, give me your business card. I'm also going to try and make it available to upload to your app. So if you don't do that, we'll get it to you that way as well. So here we go. If you work with me at any level, at any time, you have to understand one thing, that it's easy to put a system in place. Do you know what's difficult? What's difficult about putting a key item report, a waste sheet up in your kitchen on a clipboard? Simple, yes? What's hard? Using it? No, I can use it. Go one step further. Using it every day. Isn't it? I can't get my management team to do it, David. You don't understand. I try. I got news for you. Right now, I know who you are in this room. I love you. You're who I love to talk to. You're people who want to make change in your business. Even if it's one small change makes a huge blip or it's major change. It's this or death. I don't care where you're on the spectrum. But your employees know who you are too. Do you know what they're worried about when you get home? Oh, damn, they went to another convention. Oh, what's the next new thing that they're going to go, oh, I'm so excited. Oh, I saw the speaker and he told me to do this, 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 and we're going to do this. And they're like, no, no, no. No. David, I tried. I always try. I just can't get them to do it. I got news for you. Who signs their paycheck? Anybody? Anybody? Yeah. Yeah, so they have a choice. Here's the deal. Changes are coming. She doesn't have to be a bitch. I want you to all be a part of the change. This is going to be exciting. This is what we're going to do. We learned all these wonderful things. I need you to be a change agent. I want you all on this journey. But I understand some of you may not join me. Some of you may quit or get fired. Either way, it was your choice. And I'll be sad. But we're going along this change, and I want your help. You need to draw the line in the sand, give them the training and the systems to be successful. Once they say they've got it, now I can hold them accountable. And accountable is not a dirty word. Replace that word and change it to the word answerable. You are answering for your actions or inactions. That's what accountability is. You know the job. You made decisions based on what that job description was, but what did you ultimately do? What actions did you take or not take? Isn't that accountability? It's answerability. That doesn't sound so ugly, does it? So, if you're going to work with me on any level, you have to understand it's about changing your company culture. I can put a clipboard up, but it's about you. And oh, by the way, just because you own a business doesn't make you a born leader. This requires leadership. And what systems allow us to do is take some of our weaknesses and make it black and white. You either did the job or you didn't. We'll talk about that in a moment. But right now, you have a responsibility to run profitably. Take the word restaurant, call it bowling center, entertainment center, I don't care what you say. You have a responsibility to run profitably. Number one, to your guests. Do you not fulfill a need in your community? Otherwise, would they be walking in your door? You need to run profitably, be there for your guests. Would you agree? You have a responsibility to run profitably for your employees. That's how they're gainfully employed. They feed their families. Now, granted, half of them drink their paychecks away. Whole nother story. But you have a responsibility to them. But here's where we as independents screw it up every single time. I'm here to tell you you have a responsibility to you, your family, and any investors you may have. And I'm here to say you come first, not last, my social working friends, who make sure all the bills are paid and all the employees are paid. No, I need to make rent. Can I work a couple hours? Great. And you allow them to do it. Whose money are you giving them? Yours. I'm here to say if you take care of yourself and that you run profitably, you will be there for your guests, you will be there for your employees. You can actually do more by taking care of you. And at some point in time, whether you're going to sit in this room for the rest of the time, you have to make the decision that I'm going home and I'm going to make change, and it's my place. And it's okay to make decisions. It's okay to run profitably. It's okay to make money. It's okay. In fact, you have a responsibility. So as we go forward, this is what you need to have in mind. It's a culture change in your business, is it not? That I come first. Do you know why it's hard for us? Whether bowling, whether restaurant, or the combination, what industry are we in? People, hospitality. We take care of people, don't we? Aren't we built to take care of people? So wouldn't it make sense to take care of our employees? At your cost. So you've got to understand, in order to do that, you need to run profitably. Now, two most important things I'm going to repeat over and over again. Budgets, recipe, costing cards. We're not going to have time to go in depth in budgets, but let me talk about a budget for a second. Some of you are running your businesses off your gut. Some of you are just saying, this is what I've done in the past. These are generally accepted targets that I've had peers. I go to this trade show every year, our association meeting, and I learn what other people's cost of goods sold are. We're that number, so we must be good. Who said that's the right number for you? How do you know what success looks like if you don't have targets? How do you know what profitability is supposed to be for you if you don't actually say, here's what I'm supposed to do? Some of you have P&Ls that come to you by the 5th, 15th, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days later. And you grab it and you go, oh, look what I did. Oh, crap. Isn't it too late? When you get that P&L, it already happened. It's the past. Yes? Who said it's right? Some of you make enough. Oh, I hate that word. Make enough. There's always opportunity. So with a budget, what I do is I take my past and I say, I build a budget for the next 12 months. If I operate like I operated the last 12 months, this is how much money I'm going to make. Oh, I'm not happy with that. Now I'm going to make changes to my budget, new targets for my management team to shoot for, decide what systems I put in place to change my bottom line, and I become proactive in changing how much money I deserve to make every year. Does that make sense? You actually give yourself targets to shoot for. And when we have targets, that which we measure, what? Improves. Hell, I go on diets all the time. I yo-yo all the time. And the only time I ever have any success is when I get my butt on that scale and I measure. I always go up in weight when I stop stepping on the scale. Oh, those don't feel right. I'll just buy bigger pants. Well, do you know how you guys fix things? You don't get on the scale. How do you fix your problems in your businesses? Any problem and every problem, you fix them every day this way. What do? You throw money at it. Oh, I'm sure we're slow on service. Add more people. Oh, the windows, everybody keeps opening up the cold station incorrectly and it's broken. I better fix it, buy a new one, buy a new lid, bring somebody in. Don't you fix all your problems with money? Don't you? And when you don't have budgets, you don't measure, you bleed. You bleed without knowing why. And when you get done, you're left with whatever you're left with. But when I have a budget, then I have a profit and loss statement. I put them next to each other. I create a budget variance report. I measure line by line by line. And I see where I missed, and I go investigate the systems I put in place and maybe we're not using. I investigate what new systems I need to put in place to change my reality. And then, guess what? Most of you had a budget win. Once. When did you have that budget? Once. When you went to the bank to get money to open up. Well, I got news for you. Your budget lives, breathes, it changes. You change it every single month when you've missed numbers or achieved. Sales are going up, going down. You change it every month so that your reality at the end is the money you deserve, not what you're hopeful to be left over with. Does that make sense? And that's key to all of this. Are you willing to say what does success look like and then take action on that to change your bottom line, to measure and then hold people answerable? That's what budgets do for us. Now I've got this big burst that says industry standards don't apply. I hate industry standards. Benchmarking. Like people will quote me, oh David, the National Restaurant Association says the average full-service restaurant has a 34% food cost. You go home to your bowling center and say, we need a 34%. Who said that was your number? Who said that was? Tell me, is any one of your places exactly the same? Number of lanes, menu, kitchen setup, distance from bar to where the bowlers are? Is it the same? Anybody exactly the same? So it's different for every one of you. What I care about is this one number you must know called prime cost. This is a critical number in your business. The number is called prime cost, P-R-I-M-E. Prime cost is your total cost of goods sold plus your total labor cost. Now this is cost of goods sold based on inventories. Beginning plus purchases minus ending gives us use. Use divided by sales. What leaves our shelves, not what we purchase, folks. Many of you are running your profit and loss statements on a cash accounting basis which purchases against sales. It's wrong. Cost of goods sold is what leaves the shelves. You could buy more product than you use, and you have this false high. You could be on terms and be in season and off season and pay the bills for 2 months ago, and your cost of goods sold will look wacky. Because it's not for that period. We're on what's called an accrual accounting system. Accrual accounting is earn OUs. Earn it, you show it, whether you collect it or not. Owe it, when that threshold, when Cisco pulls up at the back door and drops off an invoice, it's an expense this month, whether you pay for it or not. Use is an adjustment with inventory. If you don't take inventories, don't fret. Take a full year's purchases, trailing 12 months, divided by trailing 12 months food sales. That's your cost of goods sold, because inventory will not fluctuate enough to make a difference to that bottom line. But we've got to know that number. Now, then we have labor cost. Labor cost is interesting. That's what I call raw labor cost when you punch in and out at the register, right? Timekeeping. If you pay a cook $10 an hour, is that what it costs us owners? It costs about $12 an hour. Depending on your state, taxes, benefits, and insurance. So, prime cost includes taxes, benefits, and insurance. If it's attached to labor, it is a cost. Owner salaries are interesting. If you work the restaurant side, your bowling center, and the restaurants under you, 7 days a week, 5 days a week, I don't care, then you're full-time management. If I have to report to you, you do comps, you do all the things, you make sure I show up, then you're a manager. You're working in your building as a manager, then you're a part of prime cost. If I eventually fire you, and that's my job, I want you working on your business, not in it. I want you leading the team. I want you marketing. I want you looking at the numbers. I want you driving the business, not flipping a burger for $10. Save $10. If I've got that, then you're just sucking up profits. You're not a part of prime cost. But if you work 2 days a week as a manager on the floor, then 2/5 of your salary, or an adjusted salary, is a part of prime cost. Why? I have to replace you, right? I need a manager. I'm going to come out of pocket. So it's any expense to control your day-to-day. These are also called controllable expenses. In the control of management, how they hire, fire, train, purchase product, utilize product every single day. Prime cost. Next question is, do I measure that off of gross or net sales? Let's define it first. Because all your point-of-sale systems, 90% of them are wrong. What they call gross sales is not gross sales. Gross sales is the ring at the register before discounts are taken out, not including sales tax, right? Sales tax is not your money. That is not a sale. That's the government's. They allow you to collect for them and hold you legally responsible. It's a lot of fun. Most expensive money you've ever borrowed in your life, if you ever used it, right? Ring at the register, before discounts, not including sales tax. Net sales is the ring at the register minus discounts, not including sales tax. So if I have a $10 burger and I comp $5, gross sales is $10, net sales is $5. Everybody understand that? So I measure prime cost off of gross sales or net sales. Which? Gross? Yes. Why?
But that could be anything. You can move it all over discounts.
Okay, so one of the things, let me make, I'm going to use words for you. You ready? Hey, tell them I'll get it later. So here we go. Gross sales, I want to use gross sales. Let's say you're going to do an event tomorrow. A $10,000 event. It's your favorite charity. You're going to comp 50%. 10 grand's coming in the door, but you're going to give away, because you have a big heart, $5,000. Do you staff for a $5,000 event or a $10,000 event? $10,000. Do you buy food product for a $5,000 event or a $10,000 event? $10,000 event. So to measure, I need to go off of gross sales. It is not your management team's fault that you decided to do the crack cocaine of restaurant marketing and do a Groupon. Okay? Oh, at a 78% discount. Right? That may work on the lane side, because if you've got unused lanes, you're still paying power. But when it comes to food, you have labor, you have cost of goods sold. It's not, you're not just giving a service, you're giving product out of your back pocket. Doesn't work. So we all clear that if we're going to measure our management team, we can't hold them accountable if you decide to do a discount. And oh, by the way, I'm not against discounting. I'm against the overuse and misuse. I'll give away a free meal. I'll give away a free something if it's a new mover and becomes a part of habit of what they do. This is now a part of what they want to do. I'll do that all day long. It's the overuse, misuse. So does it make sense? Gross sales? So going for, oh, by the way, your point of sale systems, even though they say gross sales, 99.9% of them, that gross sale number is net. It is less discounts. All right? Full service. The old number, when I first started my business 11 years ago, was 65%. That means for every dollar that comes in, I'm going to use 65 cents in people and product. Make sense? I thought I was a hero. I had my people down to 60%. I thought I was it. Quick serve, which most of you are, but not all, 60%. Well, I'm here to tell you, if you do $850,000 a year or more in sales, your number is 55%. If you're higher than, if your sales are lower than that, it's 60. That means if you have $1 million restaurant in one of your bowling centers and you're running 65, I'm telling you there's $100,000 in bottom line profitability on the same sales you're doing right now. Understand, everything I'm going to teach you today has nothing to do with raising sales. This is about becoming more efficient on the sales you're doing right now. Many of you get caught up into the sexy of marketing. If I could just get more butts and seats, it will fix it all. Well, there's some truth to that. volumes cure all ills. They hide your pains. You just bleed the same rate faster, but at some point in time you get past fixed expenses and you can actually make money. But you're going to work your ass off. How about let's do both? Let's market, but only when we have our operation working well. Because you can market yourself to death. If you suck and you drive all these customers in, they're going to go tell, the old days was 9 or 10 people. You remember that stat? If you have an unhappy guest, they're going to go tell 9 or 10 people. That changed. We got this thing called Twitter. We got Yelp. We got all these different social media things. They tell thousands. They suck. Is it important to have your operation good? Yes. And so before you do anything with me, I'm here to tell you our job is Restaurant 101. Hot food hot, cold food cold. Clean, safe work environment for our guests, employees, and wow customer service. That's what we're in the business of, hospitality. If you don't have that, why do we care about anything else? If we're not taking care of the guest, what does profitability matter? You've got nobody to be profitable because why? Your food sucks. Your service sucks. So that is our priority. I don't want to lose sight of that. While I'm a numbers guy, our job is hospitality. Now, how do we break it up? This is why I don't like benchmarking. Cost of goods sold, family dining, 30% cost of goods sold, 25% labor cost, that's 55. I could be a burger restaurant, 20% cost of goods sold, 35% labor cost, that's 55. I could be a steakhouse at 40% cost of goods sold and a 15% labor cost. We're going to later talk about something called cash contribution. How I can do this on purpose. This is not the world the majority of you are going to live in. Most of you are going to be choosing from this side, but I don't care. Understand you have 55 points. How do you want to use them? And that's going to be a lot to do with something called your core values. Who you are as a person and how you want your management team to run your business. Because if quality, 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 I'm not going to give up on quality, and you know you're not going to charge for it, then you're going to have a higher cost of goods sold. What's your only solution? Reduce my what? Labor cost. If you're a social worker and by goodness I'm going to take care of my employees, we have an off season that's horrible, I'm going to make sure they have a job, then in the off season you have to change your menu because you have to do what with your cost of goods sold? Bring it down. So I don't care about any other number than prime cost. Now don't get me wrong, I want to be as efficient as possible to each one of those numbers, but does that make sense? Why I don't care about an industry standard on a labor cost or an industry standard on food cost. How is your restaurant laid out? How is your bowling center laid out? Any questions on that? Okay. There are 3 keys to running your restaurant if you want to be successful in management. 3 keys. Number 1, qualitative skills. I know my business because I walk the circle. Tom Peters, no relation to me, called it management by wandering around. You know your business. You touched the tables. You saw the employee. You trained them. You hired them. You fired them. You purchased product. You made sure it was getting done right in the kitchen. You impose your will because you're over their shoulder, right? Problem is, most of us have run our businesses with our gut and our bank account, and that doesn't work anymore. Because when a check is written today, how quick does it clear? Just like that. Then we have our quantitative skills. That's the number side. So you go see an idiot like me and somebody quotes a 34.4% food cost and you go home with that. It's not good enough. But the numbers part of the business is the quantitative. And this is where the third skill set is most important. You have to have solid training to go along with that. See, it's one thing, don't come home from this convention and go expect your management team to do exactly what you want overnight, because you will be pissed off and they will be fired. They weren't here, they don't know, and even if you listen to me, are you going to be proficient in everything I teach you in an hour and a half? There's no way in hell, is it? So what makes you think you're going to go home and wave the magic wand and go, bring, you know what I want, and you're going to execute it perfectly or you're gone? You have to provide them the training and the tools, the systems to be successful, the support to be successful. Then you can hold somebody answerable, but not before then. And trust me, I know who you are. I was the same guy. And I told them, are they idiots? Getting that done is something called common sense. Oh. Anybody ever walk in their business, see something in the wrong place and go, idiots, that's common sense. Idiots. I got news for you. Wikipedia, because we don't use dictionaries anymore, we have to have the commonwealth of the world tell us what a definition is. Wikipedia says common sense is what's in common in a group. Can we agree your upbringing and my upbringing are very different? Yes? Your upbringing and my upbringing are different, yes? Yes? Whether race, economic background, education background, religion, all these things, we're small town, big town, our experiences are different. So what's in common in this group is what's in common in all of us. So you want a 16-year-old, 18-year-old kid on crack washing dishes to make decisions in your business thinking it's common sense, right? Well, I know there's no crack in your business, sorry. So here, what do? We get so pissed off at these idiots. Freaking idiots. All right, man. You ever walk into your bowling center and the lights are too bright? Huh? Ever? Show of hands. Who walks in there too bright? Oh, so you get smart. You go in there, you go to the rheostats, and you say, hey, morons, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, right? Let's say your restaurant has windows. I know you don't have a lot of windows. Let's say you have some windows. Sun comes down, you walk in, and you go, what the hell? I told you, idiots. I got news for you. This thing called the sun and the earth, and it rotates. Sunset is different every day. So I need to have manager checklists that say, when you walk in the morning, check the weatherchannel.com, find out what time sunset is. This is 1 hour, 2 hours before, this is 1 hour before, this is at sunset. And oh, by the way, if it's cloudy, do this. Wait a second, David, are you telling me I have to teach my managers how to wipe their ass? Yes. But it's not because they're stupid. It's because they need to know what the rules are. All too often, the way you train is the same way I got trained. You throw them keys, say, good luck. Follow me for 3 days, you know how to count out a drawer, you're good. And then every day of my career, you roll up a newspaper, and like putting a dog in poop, you go, bad dog. Lights are out, bad dog. Windows are dirty, bad dog. Tell me what I'm doing wrong every day. Who wants to go to work like that? But don't you find yourself every day, just point out what I'm doing wrong. Instead, when I have systems, processes, and way, and I have a manager log, I want you ready, writer downer. I want you all to go back to your bowling centers, yellow pad of paper, and I want you to write down everything that pisses you off. Walk the outside of the building, inside the building, everything. I don't care if it's ketchup not wiped down, dust bunnies everywhere, you write it down. Then grab your best employees and give them a blank checklist. Say, create the checklist you want. And you know that anal retentive daytime bartender that bitches and moans about all the nighttime people? What pigs they are? She's like, give me that sumbitch. And I want them to brasso, and I want them ... right? Take your existing checklists if you have them. Take your lists, the ones they created, combine them. You know what? Employees love rules. People say, David, employees hate rules. I say wrong. They love rules. Do you know what they hate? The inconsistency in management enforcing those rules. So what I do is I create one set of rules that when I walk in as an owner, the manager sits there and goes, find me doing something wrong. You are so specific on everything you want done and how well you want it done and by when. All my checklists have this place perfect. Find me doing something wrong. Now I'm happy. You're happy. Does that make sense? It's easy to put that checklist together. Do you know what's hard? Implementing it, really getting it used every day. You have to lead. You have to be willing to hold them answerable. So, that's what systems do. Systems do what? They provide me quantifiable goals, the targets to shoot for. They give me the trainable results. I have training systems on how to achieve each one of these things. And more importantly, my favorite is they take personalities out. I don't care if you're a bully manager. I beat the snot out of you. Rules are written by me for you to follow. And if I don't know, I'm going to make you feel stupid. Yell louder. Or if you're a jellyfish, you know, the new manager that needs to crystallize a spine. I want everybody to like me. I don't care if you're either one. I hope you're a coach. You're right in the middle. But when I have systems in place, I can walk into the manager office. You either did the manager checklist or you didn't. You either took inventory or you didn't. You either measured labor or you didn't. You either used a perpetual inventory or you didn't. You ordered following PARs and following budget or you didn't. It's black and white. It takes personalities out. So when you have, some of you hate conflict. And working with your management team sometimes just feels like conflict. Damn, I don't want to talk to her. Oh, crap, this is going to suck. And you put it off, put it off. Finally you go in and there's this bang, bang, bang. I told you need this done. You didn't tell me. Da, 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 and there's conflict. When I have systems in place, do you know what happens when I don't do my job? Hey, you didn't take inventory. Sorry, you're right. Because I've been trained. I've shown you I can do it. I've been doing it forever. There's no conflict. Because the expectations were laid out. Common senseitis is created because you want them to read your mind. They can't do it. Does it make sense? We haven't even gotten into any systems part. But do you understand why I go through this process? It's about changing your company culture. The systems part's easy, man. I'll put up a key item report like this. When you leave here, you can be at 2 systems you put on a clipboard, and you'll get results guaranteed, like that. Even as simple as they are, but that's not what it's about. It's about saying, this is my business. This is how I'm going to run it. I got news for you. You have a God-given right to go bankrupt if you so choose. Make a decision. Stick with it, right or wrong. But make it your way. Whose way? Your way. So let's go into the numbers side of things. Cost of goods sold, the basics. What we should be doing right now. Beginning inventory. This is for value, not for order. When do I take this inventory? This comes from when? Do I scare you? Say it again. Ending inventory from when? Last period. That could be a day. That could be a month. That could be a 13-period accounting cycle every 4 weeks. I don't care what it is. Some of you are going to go, we're going to start doing inventory right now. I'm going to wait till the end of next month. Why? Take it today. Start today. You'll just have a smaller period. Who cares? Purchases, whether we pay for them or not. If the invoice crosses that back threshold of your business, whether paid for or not, goes in this month's or this period's purchasing. Make sense? Beginning inventory plus purchases gives me total available what I could sell, minus ending inventory. That's taken when? At the end of the period. Could be a day, could be a week, a month, a year. I don't care what it is. My preference, by the way, you ready? I'm going to want you to count every Sunday. Now get it, I understand. Counting stuff is no fun. There's not one manager in the room, if you brought somebody with you that wakes up Sunday morning going, God bless America, I get to count stuff. Yeah, sucks. So I'm going to teach you to get more of that off the shelves so we can do inventory in under an hour. I have $4 million restaurants doing inventory in under an hour when you follow a system, a process, a way, when we get that money off the shelves and in your bank account. Beginning inventory plus purchases minus ending gives me use. What's the number one way you hope to use your product? Sell it. Next, we could use product at waste or spoiled. Throw away tomatoes. Anybody have something, Cheese Whiz or dressings that the employee is able to put out for the guest in a 2 or 4 ounce portion cup? Show of hands. How many of you have both a 2 ounce and a 4 ounce portion cup? Ever see the wrong portion go out with double the amount of ounces? That's your money. Understand, everyone, especially Cheese Whiz, right? Every time that goes out, if it was supposed to be 2 ounces, goes out at 4. Whose money is that? Yours. That's real money. It's real money, and it creates another problem I'm going to talk about in a second. Theft. None of you have theft, right? Come on now. Not my employees. They love me. They've been with me for 10 years, David. Damn. Look, systems in place, management on the floor, we're going to keep honest people honest. And we're going to catch this honest guy. But understand, when you have theft in your place, you created that culture by not looking. You said it was okay by not looking. You did. Last but not least is comps. Now let me be very clear, this is not the comps on your point of sale system. Because when I ring up a $10 burger on my POS, it's going to show up gross sales $10, yes? With a $5 comp. This is you as an owner. I'm going to have a barbecue this weekend. You pull up your truck and you grab 2 cases of burger patties, throw them in your trunk. And I'm all for taking advantage of tax taxation things, it's our business, let's do that. But you better put that on a waste sheet and give your management team credit for it. Because when they're off their cost of goods sold and they lose their job because you're taken, that's not fair. I'm not saying don't take. I'm saying you better give me credit. Does that make sense? Am I clear? Because cost of goods sold is use. Doesn't matter how it leaves the shelves. This is arithmetic. I suck. I teach math. I teach you to count stuff. Right? This is easy. But it's where the numbers come from, how we utilize them. Use divided by sales gives me cost of goods sold. Make sense? Well, that's what you all should be doing. Those of you who are not, don't worry, you're going to start. Those of you who are, I'm going to teach you 4 calculations. I'll guarantee we'll put more money in your bank account. Guarantee. And you're not doing it. 4 calculations to take to the bank. Number 1, average inventory. Average inventory is beginning inventory plus ending divided by 2. This is tough stuff. Those are your numbers of phobic. Ooh, I hate math. Inventory turns use. Use came from here. Use divided by average inventory tells me how many inventory turns I have. What's an inventory turn?
How many times you got to buy it each year?
How many times I got to buy it each year? No. Smaller. Think smaller. Time I order.
Whatever period you're working.
Okay. Ready? In theory, an inventory turn is filling the shelves and emptying them once, refilling them. That's a turn, right? I use all of my product, bring it back up. Yes? Anybody here ever empty all their shelves completely? No, you've got some dairy products, some produce that gets 3 times a week, and then you've got that pickle bucket full of paprika 3 chefs ago that was going to save you money, that you count every month, right? So it's the dollar value. So if I have $3,000 on the shelf, every time I reorder $3,000 in product, that's an inventory turn. Make sense? So for a full-service restaurant, quick-service restaurant, my goal for you is 4 to 6 inventory turns in a calendar month. That means you only ever have enough food on the shelves to last 3 or 4 business days. But what if we run out, David? Whole other set of systems. It's par levels, understanding your business. But oh, by the way, if I have more food on the shelves, what happens? It's at risk to be stolen, wasted, spoiled. It's real money. And the last time I checked, I couldn't go to the power company with a case of steaks and go, thud, we're even. Right? Get it off your shelves. Now, last but not least, we have our change in inventory. Did our inventory go up or down? And then budget. Got to have a budget. This is a nasty word. I can't measure my kitchen's success, my bar's success without a budget. And quite honestly, I'm later going to tell you this target budget should be your ideal food cost based on what your customers actually purchased, not the number you pulled out of your, it's what I need to do to make money. But I can't do that if I don't have accurate recipe costing cards. So let's build this together. Here we go. Calendar month. See, the period is a calendar month. I've got $3,000 in product on the shelves, $22,000 in purchases. Does it matter if I paid for those or not?
No.
Does not matter whether I paid for it. Came across my threshold. I could sell $26,000 in product, yes? Took an ending inventory at the end of the period or before I open the next day. This means I could do inventory at 7 a.m. is equally as bad as 3 a.m., depending on how lit I got the night before. None of your employees go out drinking, I know that. Right? So before I do business, I could have that inventory taken. I don't have to bring them at the end of the night. Ending inventory, subtracted from total available what I could sell, I actually had $19,300 leave the shelves. Does that equation know how that left the shelves? You hope you did what? Sold it. But could it not have gone away through overportioning, through theft, through you? Yeah. Take my sales for that period, use divided by sales gives me a food cost of 30%, 30.61. I put in my last month's or last period's food cost in there for one reason. I want to see if there's a trend. Right now, if my budget was 30%, I'm at 30.6, I would probably bonus this manager. But when I add these 4 next calculations, I'm not giving him a dime. Wait a second, they hit budget, David. Isn't that what you're thinking? Why would I say I'm not going to give them money? I asked them at a 30% food cost, and they're right there. Because I add 4 more calculations that take care of your what? What pays your bills? Cash. Watch this. Average inventory, $5,200. Use, which is $19,300, divided by average inventory, gives me 3.72 turns. Is that good? No, I want 4 to 6 turns. If you were a breakfast place, I'd make it 8. Change in inventory. My inventory went up $3,200. By the way, has anybody heard this growing up in their career? Don't order at the end of the month because it'll make your food cost high. It's a lie. It's utter garbage. It's what leaves the shelves. You'll just have higher inventory, which could be risked at waste, theft, spoilage. But it's arithmetic. It's what leaves the shelves. If I bought more, I'd have higher inventories. In this case, the inventory went up $3,200. Budgeted 30% versus 30.61. I'm off $385 on $63,000 in sales. Is everybody okay with you've wasted $385 on $63,000 in sales? Anybody not okay with that? It's a trick question. I am. But you know what? The point in time, forget about a point. How many times have you heard, hey boss, I'm only off a point? Show of hands, you've heard that in your career. I'm only off a point. In this case, it's $630. In this restaurant, 1 point is worth $630, so I don't care about that. What I care about is dollar value. So at what point in time is that waste? Feel like someone just kicked you in the gut. That's your number. Forget about points and talk about dollars. Because you take dollars to the bank, you don't take points to the bank, do you? Oh, by the way, why am I not bonusing this manager? Anybody have any idea? Cost of goods sold is right on budget. I'm happy. I'm thrilled with that number. To be 0.61 off, awesome. My inventory went up, plus the $385 I lost. I made a negative impact of $3,600 on my bank account, and you wonder why you can't make payroll. They hit budget, but you can't make payroll. Where's your money?
Sitting on the shelf.
Sitting on the shelf, at risk to be stolen, wasted, spoiled. Does this make sense? When you start to drill down to this level, don't you have a much clearer picture of how to operate your business? Your expectations of what I want management to do? Not only manage the cost of goods sold, but manage my what? Money. My money. Whose money? Two most important things any restaurant should have. Budgets and recipe cards. Yes, sir. Question. Question is, if I understand correctly, when do I break a case? When do I order where I know the product's going to cost me more? Actually, I don't care so much about it. I'm a believer in a prime vendor agreement. I understand you as an association have a deal with Cisco that allows you as a group to get buying power. It's actually smart. Tonnage wins all the time. But whether you're not on that system doesn't matter. I'm going to use actual recipe costing cards to answer that question. Because if I know that I'm going to pay more for a certain product, but I don't want to tie up, right? I don't want to break the case. Well, I'm going to break the case and I'm going to charge enough. Because it costs me more to bring in too much product I can't move. So it is a budget decision, but it's going to be driven off of recipe cards, which I'm going to show you in a second. Does that make sense? And if not, we can talk about it later. Why do I want to cost out a recipe? 2 reasons. What's the number 1 reason? Cost, right? What's the other reason?
Are you charging enough?
Charging enough, so we're still, that's cost, that's profitability. What's the second reason? No, you're all on profitability. How about this? Anybody here, nobody has like an Applebee's in their deal, right? Good, because I think Applebee's sucks. I do. I think they're horrible. But I'm about to give them a great backhanded compliment. In every of your markets, and I know they're a direct competitor for your bar business, aren't they? For your tavern side of things, some of you. Do they have lines of people? Lines of people. Small locations in different towns, they have lines of people. Multiple locations, lines of people. They suck. Do you know why they have lines of people? They're consistent. They suck the same way every day. That's why the guests come in. I go to your places, sometimes I get this much cheese whiz, sometimes I get this much. Sometimes I get this many chips, sometimes I got pizza that's got a lot of cheese, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I have a burger that is this size, sometimes it's salty, sometimes it's not. It's the inconsistencies that drive your guests out of your business. Do you understand that? So recipe cards allow it to be consistent one way and make money. That's why I want recipe costing cards, recipe cards, create my standard. All too often, the way you guys train in your restaurants, follow Joe, follow Jose. Oh, this is how we make a burger. You ever have an employee come back that worked for you years ago? Comes into the kitchen and goes, what's this? Because it's evolved. The recipe evolved because it's handed down like a story. When I was a kid, we used to make it this way. And you wonder why your guests aren't buying on a routine basis. Your product is changing every day, sometimes depending on the cook. Some of you have too many items on your menu that aren't selling. So you look at your P-Mix reports and you're selling one a day. I got news for you, you aren't. You're selling like 3 or 4 every weekend. So it means one day a week a cook goes, ticket comes up and goes, damn, I haven't made that in a week or two. And they reinvent the product. Consistency. So here's a recipe costing card. We start off with the ingredient list of what we're going to put on there, the cost and quantity, how you buy it from the vendor, by the case, by the each, by the can, by the whatever. I then add something called a yield test. Who can tell me what a yield test is? What's a yield test? How much is usable out of that case? Because if I have romaine lettuce, I take the head out of the case, the top is wilty, green, brown, has worms, disgusting. Caterpillars, actually, right? What am I going to do with that? Am I going to serve that to the guest? Throw it away. The bottom's like an apple core, only a goat would eat. You're going to serve that to the guest? Let's make it easy arithmetic for me. Let's say you bought it at 10 cents an ounce, and I have a 50% yield. On the recipe card, it's actually 20 cents a usable ounce. Isn't that important to have accurate on my recipe card to know what to charge? Because I pay for the fat on the ribeye. I pay for the juice, if you will, that's in the cryovac container. I pay for all that, but I don't get to use it, do I? So I need to come up with the yield on each one of these products to have accurate recipe costing cards. I list out the quantity of each thing, the usable ounce, add it up, I get a total cost. Target cost goods sold will give me a forecasted price. I'm going to back into that in a second. Don't worry about that part. Does this make sense? I'm going to add something to your recipe cards. Anybody here at their bar, if you have a bar as part of your restaurant, give away things for free to eat, like peanuts or chips or popcorn or something like that? Anybody? I give nothing away for free. Bull. I'm not going to charge them. Hey, you used a little bit of mustard from the table? It's $0.25. No, what I'm going to do is create something called a spice factor or consumable factor. Beginning inventory of those products, plus the purchases of those products during that same period, minus ending inventory of only those products, will tell me how much money of free stuff left the shelves. Does that make sense? So I bought this much in peanuts. I had this many peanuts on the shelf. I bought this much in peanuts. At the end, I took this inventory. This is the dollar value, $2,000 in peanuts left the shelves. Yes, just like cost of goods sold. I then go to that expensive cash register, that point of sale system, and I run a PLU, an item sales mix report, a product mix report, P-mix, whatever your POS calls it, for all entrees. And I divide it into that number, maybe come up with 25 cents, maybe come up with $1.25. That goes on every entree recipe card, and I charge for the free stuff. So every item I sell, I'm getting enough money to what? Pay for the free stuff. Because guess what? If you give away free stuff and you want to hold your kitchen manager accountable, are you not driving his or her food cost up? Are you not driving it up? I don't know why I can't hit my food cost. Beyond me, as you're giving away food, that's use, is it not? Okay, so let's put a spice factor, a consumable factor on every entree recipe card. So every period I want to redo that and update my recipe cards. Because some months I use more, some months I use less, the price goes up, whatever it may be. Any questions on this? Okay, moving right along. Here's a recipe card. One of the reasons why most of us never start this process is we have too many menu items. But the other part is, you have to do every batch recipe before you ever do an item recipe. If you have a sauce, a side dish that you make in-house, you have to create that recipe before we ever build, say, a pizza. So I've got sauce. And I've got all my ingredients, build it out. It costs me $22.23 to make this batch. And up here in the yield, it yields 595 usable ounces at 4 cents a usable ounce. So when I use 3 ounces, 2 ounces, 4 ounces on a sandwich or on a pizza, do I know how much every ounce of that pizza sauce costs me? Got to create the ingredients. Oh, I've got to go and I've got to create dough balls. Right? If I'm making my own dough, isn't that a batch recipe? If I'm creating my own cheese blend, is that not a recipe? If I'm cutting my own pepperonis, is that not a recipe? If I'm dicing my own peppers, this is why so many of us give up. It takes time. It'll take 40 to 60 man hours, the average for each of you, to do recipe cards. But it's gold. When I show you by the end of today what I can do with actual recipe cards, it's magic. I'll change your bottom line 3 to 7 points overnight, even if you don't fix your kitchen. Your kitchen's running inefficiently. They're the same idiots you've always had. Oh, by the way, side note, if you go into your restaurants, you go into your bowling centers and you go, these people are idiots, here, I want you to do this. I want you to grab a mirror because you selected them, you hired them, you train them, you manage them on an everyday basis. Ain't their fault. Need to give them a system, a process, a way. Yes, sir? Why don't I use consumables? Because I don't sell consumables. The only time I'm going to wrap paper or something like that in there is if I wrap every taco, every burger in a piece of paper. That's part of the recipe card. If I was only to-go pizza, and every pizza went out to the bowling center in a box, it's a part of it. But if it's only for to-go, it's a paper thing. Because what I don't sell, remember this is cost of goods sold. I don't sell gloves. I don't sell janitorial. I don't sell it. This is cost of goods sold. But on my budget, I'm going to be measuring, it's going to be a percentage of sales. If my sales are up, I'm going to spend more in Janny. And I'm going to look month to month to see that, whoa, somebody's taking 100% degreaser and not diluting it because my chemical expenses are up here. Different place to measure. We're still looking at it. Make sense? Okay? But I don't sell a Janny. Okay? Now, here's my large pizza. I've got my batch recipe, my cheese is going to cost me $2.13. My target food cost is 25%. I'd have to sell this for $8.52. I'm going to sell it for $12. Use $2.13 divided by $12 says that I'm going to have a food cost of what? Of 17.76%. That's it. It's arithmetic. But it's got to be done. Why? Well, here's a hoagie. We just build this up. Again, give me your business card at the end. I'm going to send you this PowerPoint. You'll have this all. But if this is $2.46 divided by $7.99, it's a 30% food cost, even though I have a 25 target. There'll be items that you're going to have out of a box, say an anchor appetizer at 38% food cost. How can I sell that if I want a 24% food cost? We're going to talk about that. Something called mix. When I was taught in the industry how to know if my new menu was going to give me a target cost of goods sold, it was list out all your items, what the cost was, the sale price, use divided by sales gives me food cost. That's my new menu. It's wrong. Absolutely asinine wrong. Why? It has everything to do with mix. What does that mean? For my people who hate math, let me scare you. It's called a weighted average. If I have accurate recipe costing cards, in your point of sale systems, you have the ability to create different levels of pricing based on time of day, yes? When you program in? Do you know there's this little box called cost? Do you ever wonder what that was for? Recipe cards. Because it's a weighted average. Let's put it this way. Your ideal food cost is based on what your customers actually purchase. I can run a 38% anchor appetizer because I sell so many French fries at 5%. Does that make sense? Let's say you have a 2-item menu. You have one item at a 1% cost of goods sold and one at 99%. And this month you sell 100 items, 99 at 1% cost of goods sold and one at 99%. What's your food cost? 1%. Next month, same menu, I sell 99 items at 99% food cost and one at 1%. What's my food cost? 99%. It's what my customers actually purchase that will tell you what your ideal food cost should be if there was no waste, no theft, no spoilage, perfect restaurant, which does not exist. It's impossible. But we sure want to drive that down to a pain threshold that financially we can muster. Any questions on that? Then you've got to decide based on prime cost, am I trying to do a menu to get a lower food cost or higher cash contribution? I'll show you what I mean. So a cheeseburger and a T-bone steak. Now you know this is a nice, fine truck stop T-bone steak, wafer thin at $12.95, huh? It's a nice piece of meat right there. One has a 20% food cost, the other 42. One makes me in cash contribution $434 before any other bills, labor, anything else is paid, just cost of goods sold. The other one's $744. Which one do you want to sell? Depending on your operation, the answer may be steak. Picture this, $10 an hour cook flips a burger. T-bone steaks, twice as much in profitability. Does it take 2 cooks to flip it? Oh, do we understand why we live in the world called prime cost? Because I have a higher cash contribution, drives the ring of the register up, which drives my labor cost what? Down. Got to have a budget. I've got to make the decision. Maybe your decision is, I actually am going to run a lower cost of goods sold because I'm not that kind of operation, and the impact of selling it's not going to have anything to do with my bottom line because of the mix based on what my customers actually purchase. It's a budgeted decision which can't be made unless I have a budget and unless I have accurate recipe costing cards. What are the 2 most important things you should have? Budgets and recipe costing cards. So, here are some things you can do to change your bottom line profitability. Number 1, raise your price. Now, I'm not talking about raise your price across the board. Now, some of you may have to. Some of you have made the independent operator mistake that I hate watching. You're fearful of raising your prices because what if they don't come back? What if... You don't understand, David, my place is different. We actually serve food. Right? No, we have special service. We actually, not like these other people I'm sitting in the room with, we actually get around a register and we go full service because that's different, David. What, you know, it's the same stuff. If you have items to die for that are just so popular, like you've got the best soft pretzel in the world, you can't keep them stocked. They just flow all day long. Do you know what I'm doing? I'm raising the price. Because it's a value at any price when it's that damn good. Have a specialty dessert, you have a specialty sandwich they can't get anywhere else, or as good as what you have. And guess what? I'm raising the price. It's a value at any price. Anybody disagree with me? How about this? You give me actual recipe costing cards, I can do an analysis and show you, in most cases, that if I lost you 1 out of every 4 customers, I reduced your customer counts by 25%, that you would make more money, would you make the decision to change your menu? Some of you, the answer is no, because the ego need of seeing volume is more important than your bottom line profitability. And I got news for you, especially some of you smaller centers that may have the local regulars that sit at the end of your bar as soon as you open the doors. You're worried about losing this person who is actually driving real business out of your day as they sit there all day long and piss off anybody new because they own that stool. That's my damn chair. You understand? So sometimes our pricing actually gives us the crowd. Like I've never been in your place, right? All right. Next, I want you to go to your distributor, your broadline distributor, anybody you're buying stuff, and ask for a descending dollar report. It's what you spend the most money on to what you spend the least on. This is assuming you're not on the buying program that your association has put together, because they've already done this for you, for these items. Certain items that may not be a part of that program, top to bottom, what I spend the most on, down to the least. And I say, hey, vendor, can you give me a better price? If I promise to give you X tonnage, can you give me a better price on this product? Or do you have a like quality product or better quality product on your shelves that I can have? Notice I didn't say buy cheaper. Core values. We buy the same level quality or better. Do you know that there are some products on their shelves that you don't know about, that some other chain may have brought in, that has what's called marketing money on it? They don't have any. So it's not as expensive. It's just like going to a grocery store. There are certain things to get in their books is no different than getting on that eye-level shelf in a grocery store. They pay for that. It means you pay for that. Is there a like quality or better quality? Do this, you're going to find money. So you're buying the same amount of product, you're just not spending your what? Money. Key item report, clipboard systems. It's a count sheet. I'm telling you, this is clipboard. This is where you go, I didn't need David to tell me this. I have 100 portion French fries. I prep 60. I could sell 160. At the end of the day, I go to my point of sale system and I run an item-by-item sales mix report, show I sold 120. It says that I should have 32 on the shelf. Then I take my happy little ass and I walk back there and I count. And what do I count? I count there's 32. There's 8 missing. Where should they be? Where are these 8? Well, if they're not on the shelf, where should they be? On a weigh sheet. Right? I'm going to count for everything. What does this do? This prevents and deters theft. These are my high dollar things, things that I want to pay attention to. Because when I inspect what I expect, they'll go steal somewhere else. Why do I do? Oh, by the way, somebody here is going, why would you pay a cook to pre-portion French fries? If any of you are fortunate enough in your restaurant side doing $1 million a year or more in business, and French fries are your #1 side dish, I'll put money on you start doing this. I'll say your salesperson will come up and go, dude, are you buying from somebody else? Because you'll lower your costs by $300 to $500 a week. That's why. Because what does a cook do when they see white space on a plate? Fill it up. Is that waste? Whose money is that? So I should find these on a waste sheet. It's what it was, how much was lost, the reason why, the employee that did it, and the cost. Before you tell me, hey man, I can't do that on a busy Friday night, you're nuts. My kitchen manager will chew me up. Don't tell me why it can't be done, tell me how it can be done. Put a clear Lexan at the end of the line. In the busy rush, go drop it down. Continue. At the end of the shift, it's like an archaeological dig. Oh, look at that. Oh, a burger. Write it down. Don't tell me why it can't be done. Tell me how it can be done. If it is not on this sheet, the 8 missing are not on this sheet, and then over here, I have one of 2 problems, one worse than the other. One I have is what? Theft. Stolen. Worse than theft is management not using the systems I put in place to control my costs. Hear what I said. The guy taking a couple bags is not as much a concern to me than the manager I pay to manage my business, give them the tools to manage my money, and they don't use it. That's a culture change in your business, isn't it? All too often, you guys screw up. You hold employees accountable for what they make mistakes in. They didn't do side work. They didn't do this. I got news for you. Guess whose fault it really is? Manager on duty. We want to have a culture of closed to open. We're going to set up our businesses that every manager leaves the next manager set up to do business. None of this AM, PM crap, front of house, back of house crap. We're one restaurant. We're here for the guest. And my job is to hand you a shift that is ready to go, man. That's my job. Are either of these difficult? Are these clipboard systems you could go right home and do, right? Yes, sir. Do I include them? I can. So I will. You get these two forms? Chris, would you remind me that I just promised to give them that away? Key item report waste sheet? Sure. Portion controls. This is huge. Calibrate your scales. I'm not a real fan of digital scales because digital scales break and they cost a lot of money. The other spring-loaded ones work just fine. But make sure you calibrate them. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm embarrassed to say this. It was a couple years ago that my business partner, who's a chef, taught me this, how to calibrate a scale easily. Grab a stick of butter. It's always a pound. Really? Told you I don't belong in the kitchen, right? Don't believe me? Portion bags, ladle sizes, measuring containers, standard vessels. I have a member who takes a Taco Bell to-go cup, and that's his portion for French fries. Remember when I talked about ideal food costs, what my customers actually purchase? If I had accurate recipe cost cards, let's say my ideal food cost is 30%. 30 cents on every dollar. If I overportion by 10%, can anybody here with the naked eye see 10% more French fries? 10% more shredded cheese? 10% more anything? The answer is no. When you see it, it's 25%. If I overportion by 3%, I take a 30% food cost and make it 33. On $1 million in business, that's a lot. So put it in perspective. Portion control matter? Yes. But more importantly, just because you put the right ladle out there doesn't mean they're using it. You have to walk back there and make sure. Invoices, check them. Nobody checks in an order if they've not been trained to check it in. Some of you, especially small vendors, some of them are leaning on you, dude. Catch weight meats and cheeses, produce, you're not checking it? Well, guess what? I want to check it for accuracy, price, product quality. You ever get in the middle of a Wednesday, go down and get to the bottom of the tomatoes and go, holy crap, they're all bad. Damn. Got news for you. They were turning when you accepted them, but that small produce vendor said they never look. They have cost of goods sold too. Don't they? They have to move product, get money for product. If it's starting to turn, they put it at the bottom because they know. They know who doesn't look. You think I'm wrong? Start looking. It's going to open your eyes. Temperature for safety. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. It's going to be 118 degrees in another month. You want to be the last delivery on that truck? Weights on products. Get a scale. Take catch weight meats and cheeses out of the box. Weigh them. Sometimes it's just an accident. It's mislabeling. It's a computerized system. Things happen. And get your discrepancies fixed. Now, here's where we're going to get into. I've got 15 minutes to be on time. I'm going to start to put on some jets here. So I'm going to ask you to hold your questions because I want to get through all this. But I can change your bottom line 3 to 7 points. First time through with accurate recipe costing cards. From there, we're going to make a change based on dollars, not about big swings in bottom line. Think about this. I don't want you to, a perfect menu is not being all things to all people. Especially those of you in a small town, think a Mexican food restaurant open, you got to add Mexican. Breakfast place open, I got to add breakfast. Steakhouse open, I got to add a steak. Stop. Chipotle Mexican Grill. One chain that I love. Sell 5 products, 3 ways, and it's the same every time, yes? You ever been there? See the lines of people? Lines, that dollar per labor hour is incredible. If we do too many things, we're going to suck at many, and they can't be great at anything. So here we are. Typical pizza place. Doesn't that look like a typical pizza place? Doesn't it look like some of your menus? $3 million pizza, restaurant, pizza and cheesesteaks outside of Philly. 33% food cost. This was their first menu revision. And it's wrong. It's actually bad. From here, from worse to bad. But we told them get that menu out. Because we knew the changes it would make such a dramatic impact. Look at this. 33 to 28% on a $3 million business. 80% food sales. I said, get this out, because some of you have been working on a menu for 6 months to a year. You're waiting for the perfect menu. It doesn't exist. Every one of you has had 8 million people in your company reread that menu over and over again, and when you put it out there, somebody goes, "Are you dumbass? Don't you know how to spell tomatoes?" right? You see it every day. There is no such thing. We're going to reprint often, so it doesn't matter. Get it out. But this was a 5-point swing. Menu mix. Remember, we went over this myth. What I want to do is go to that point of sale system, get my item by item sales mix report, write my P-mix, how many I sold. The problem is this report in your POS system's wrong. Is it off of gross sales or net sales? That's net. So I need to pull that money, the mix out and add the actual cost and the actual sale price to come up with my ideal food cost. Oh, wait, I got a couple extra. Oh, here we go. That slide should have been gone. Ready? No, nobody here is fine dining, are they? So this works for everybody. Watch my screen. What does the customer see? Okay. Price so that you can make small changes. Menu engineering. Eye movement. Single panel menu from the middle up will sell more. Fine dining restaurants will take lunch menus and go appetizers, entrees, sandwiches, salads. Wait, David, everybody knows it goes the other way. We go appetizers, soups and salads, sandwiches, entrees. Isn't that what we do? Right? Who said? I got news for you. The rabbits will find their food. I don't make money. So I'm going to promote what I want to sell. 2-panel menu, upper corner, bottom right-hand side, a third up. Everything up here sells. And I wonder why I see side dishes up in this upper right-hand corner, because that's what you want to sell? That's what you're merchandising? Look, if I'm a 3-panel menu, watch this. Boom, 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 boom. Where do you want to put it? If you want to sell it, where do you want to put it? I can change my mix where I place it. And if you're a 3-panel menu that opens like so, open, open, like this, you have to engineer for a single-panel menu, a 2-panel menu, and a 3-panel menu, depending on how it's opened. Many of you fall into this. Breast of chicken sandwich, lettuce, tomato, mayo, and provolone cheese. Woo, I can go to the grocery store and make that. Can I? It's a grocery list. You need to have a teriyaki chicken burger, a savory grilled chicken breast brushed with a sweet teriyaki sauce, topped with Hawaiian pineapple and melted cheddar. Mmm. Which one would you pay for? The teriyaki, man. Descriptions sell. In our casual atmospheres, you must sell it. No, by the way, there is no ... bold $sign. It's buried here, one space, and oh, by the way, this is a half font size smaller than a capital letter. It's in between a capital and a lowercase, because I don't want to draw attention to it. Read it, want it, then buy it. Versus, later I'll show you a price list. Ooh, some of your menus, I don't want them to look like a 13-year-old back in 1984 when Publisher came out. Just because there's 8,000 fonts doesn't mean you should use it. No more than 3 fonts. Make it easy. You want my wallet. I'm 47, about to be 48 years old, and I don't want to use my readers. I got them. My arms get longer. You make this harder for me. I'm not coming. I'm really not. Make this simple. Price list. Avoid it. When you have a price list, your guest decides how much they want to spend. Then they read the items. They may walk out of there and not have the best thing on your menu. And the best thing, even though it was more expensive, would drive them back over and over and over again. Studies have shown, if they're, for my friends from Philly, if they're 5 by each, first, second, last will sell the most. You mean where I place it has everything to do with what's going to sell? Yeah. These two, go look at your product mix. Unless these products suck on your menu, these 3 items will outsell anything else. How about this? White space, God bless us. Have you ever been to the chain restaurant Mimi's Cafe? Can you read it? All that fancy cartooning and everything's like this. White space is your friend. When we show you a menu in a second again, remind you of it, and you see the difference. When you have white space, your eyes can focus and see it. When there's too much, it's like a run-on sentence. I don't know where to start or stop. By the way, white space doesn't mean bigger paper. Reduce our menu items. I actually want, if you were a full-serve restaurant, you were serving burgers and you're doing steaks and you're doing all these things, your restaurant's full-serve and you really, by goodness, are serving a ton of stuff, I don't want any more than 35 menu items, including side dishes, desserts, and appetizers. Merchandise. Pictures. Oh my goodness. Pictures sell. I know nobody in this room has ever been in a Denny's at 2 o'clock in the morning. Never happened, right? Why do you think the chain restaurants put pictures? They change the mix. Customers will order based on a picture. Just make it a good picture. Okay? Some of your Cisco's actually have the capability of taking great pictures if you're on their buying program. Check it out. Not all of them, but some of the opcos do. Be able to change. Ready? Death to the laminated menu. Why? They're so expensive. I don't want to throw those away. Well, when I can change prices at a moment's notice, and let's say it costs me $300 to replace all my menus, but it makes me $1,500 in the next month, do you want to do it? Or do you want to take $3,000, redo all your menus to make $1,500? Death to the laminated menu. Now, I'm not talking about the bar menu that does like 3 things and you only have 10 of them. I'm talking about when you need 50, 100 of these things. And it stops you from making changes to change your bottom line. Here's the payoff. Here is our payoff. When I have a menu mix, cost, price, units sold, I know my contribution margin, and my food cost. Decide, am I going after contribution margin, higher cost of goods sold, which means I'm going to have a lower what? Labor cost, if I'm doing by budget, higher ring at the register, even though it's higher cost of goods sold, I want to reduce my labor. Or am I going the opposite? I'm going to have high labor, so I need to reduce my cost of goods sold. Decide. But I can't do that if I don't have a what? Budget. Somebody's not sleeping. This group, you guys are just toast. God bless them. You know, smoking doobers? I mean, we're not in California or in Colorado, wherever it is. Dude, I had lunch and I didn't do Disney. I'm on Disney trip right now. All right, so we got all this, right? I know my cost of goods sold by category, my overall cost of goods sold. I could raise prices, my top sellers. If I'm selling it, I'm raising the price. It means I don't have to raise every single price. I don't have to rip the Band-Aid off and shock the guest unless you haven't changed your prices in 2 years. What if your price is done every month and you don't change your prices? And you don't even know because you don't have what? Recipe costing cards to even do the analysis with mix. Some of you may go, David, I want you to look at my menu. I'll say yes. Some of you are going to go say, David, would you help me change this menu? I will say, do you have accurate, current recipe costing cards? And if you say no, guess what my answer is? No, because I could put you out of business. I could merchandise the wrong items. Couldn't I? If I'm going to add new items, if I'm going to remove items, if I remove them, I take these losers, and I have to decide that this 200 items that I took off, that customer would have bought something else. You have to reinsert that mix somewhere else to say, hey, I'm going to get rid of tuna fish salad because I've got a salmon salad. Odds are tuna's going to salmon, right? Maybe not. Maybe you're going to take that mix and say whatever's left over, evenly divide it. Maybe you're going to say percentage of sales. 50% of the people in this category buy this salad. I'm going to move that up, 25, 25. Either way, you have to decide that customer would have bought something else, right? We don't just remove it. When we add items, we have to say it's going to take from somewhere else. By doing so, I also can lower the cost of an item. And it's not always go beat up your distributor for the cost. While that is an option on some things, sometimes it's check your garbage can. Is it full? Is it because you're over portioning, which means I can reduce the portion size without giving up guest perception? Or does your food suck? Some of you don't know. Do you know who I know doesn't know if their food is bad? When you or your management team every day runs back to the kitchen and go, hey, will you make me something special? You don't even eat your own damn food. Sick and tired of it. When I do this, in this menu, this is an actual change in menu engineering, not only I increase the sales $53,000 and reduce my food cost by 3 points, I increase my profitability in this restaurant by $53,000 in a 3-month period of time. That's a 3-month mix. When I have accurate, current recipe costing cards, do you understand that you have magic at your fingers? By the way, this is without fixing the kitchen. I haven't put in key item reports, waste sheets, other systems that we didn't even talk about, par levels and so on. This is purely on fixing what my customers actually purchase. So understand, if I can get a 3 to 7 point swing on your current menu, then you add controls into your business, many of you, we're talking about 10-point swings in your business or more. And oh, by the way, guess what? Some of you in your businesses, you're getting slaughtered at the fry station. And then the guy on the grill, finger up at the rear end. I can re-engineer my menu and change my labor we didn't even talk about. When I see that my fry's getting slaughtered, I'm going to re-engineer my menu to move my mix into grill so that now I'm efficient. It's not just food cost, it's labor cost. Here you go, ready? Here's to sum it up. 33% food cost. This revision, 28% food cost. This revision, 26, 2 more points. You're never done. 7-point swing from original 33% on $3 million. I don't care what your sales volumes are. Do you see that there's real money? Stop looking at that as a product listing of people to buy stuff. It's a sales tool. And it can change your bottom line. But I can't do this without 2 things in place. One is a budget, the other is recipe costing cards. What did we cover? The importance of recipe costing, keys to engineering your menu, how to maximize your food and beverage costs with all the systems we covered. I'm going to be able to answer your questions, but I want you to do me a favor. We've got somebody coming in about 15 minutes. I've got 1 minute left here. I've got some pens, trinkets, trash up here, but if you would give me your business card, I will send you this PowerPoint and the key item report and waste sheet. If you don't have a business card on you, I've got this white form, little card for you to fill out. Put your card in here. I'll get that off to you. If you have questions, I'll be out in the hall in about 5 minutes when I finish up because we got to get this room turned. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.